Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're exploring a seriously fascinating what if scenario, one that honestly could literally happen to anyone driving through Victoria. We're going to break down the anatomy of a roadside emergency in Geelong. We'll look at the exact logistics, some really surprising costs, and absolutely crucial, the legal rights you need to know to protect yourself when a perfectly good drive goes completely sideways. Now, I really want you to picture this. You're behind the wheel, right? The weather's gorgeous, the radio is bumping, and you're heading out for a highly anticipated weekend event. You've got the whole route mapped out, you're making fantastic time, and you're just feeling really good about the day ahead. But then, in a split second, the entire thing comes to a grinding halt. Let's say you're cruising right through Newtown. If you know the area, you know it's one of Geelong's oldest and honestly most picturesque inner western suburbs. It's got those stunning heritage properties and a population of around 10,500 people. So you're navigating these historic streets, making your way down toward GMHBA Stadium at Gardenia Park for a massive game. You can feel the energy in the air, it's electric, but unfortunately, so is the traffic. And boom, here's the breakdown reality. Because it's a huge event day, the Murrable Street road closures are fully in effect. They actually shut down a whole section of it like 60 minutes before the event even starts. So you're stuck in this heavy game day traffic, crawling bumper to bumper. And then, literally without any warning, your engine just dies. No sputtering, no warning light, just a total loss of power. You're now basically a stationary roadblock. So what is your very next move? Okay, let's dive into this. Naturally, your very first instinct is probably to just call a tow truck, right? But hold on, you shouldn't just call any tow truck. You really want to ask for a tilt tray. This is basically a truck with a big, flat, movable tray on the back that angles all the way down into a ramp. What this does is allow your car to be winched up securely with all four wheels completely off the road, instead of having the front lifted up while the back wheels just, drag along the pavement. So why is demanding this specific method so absolutely crucial? Well, for starters, it gives your vehicle maximum stability and puts zero strain on your steering or drivetrain. But where it really becomes non-negotiable is if you happen to be driving a modern electric or hybrid vehicle. I mean, most EVs don't even come with spare tires these days. And if you try to drag an EV using an old-school tow, you seriously risk doing massive damage to the battery pack or accidentally triggering the regenerative braking system. In fact, dragging an EV can literally void your entire manufacturer's warranty. It's also pretty much the only safe solution if you've got a modified 4Drive-D or a really low-clearance sports car. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer variety of standard private towing costs you've got access to for a simple breakdown. Looking here at the Greater Geelong area, you basically have your pick of private operators. Places like Affordable Towing or Elite 247 might charge you right around $120 for a 10-kilometer tow, while others, depending on where they go and what they specialize in, might scale up to about $165. The big takeaway here? For a standard mechanical breakdown, you are totally the boss. You can shop around, compare the rates, and just pick whoever you want to come rescue. But wait, we need to shift gears for a second here. What if your car didn't just casually die on its own? What if, while you were sitting in all that brutal event traffic on Moorebull Street, the driver behind you was checking their phone and rear-ended you? Suddenly, you aren't just dealing with a mechanical breakdown anymore. You are at an active accident scene. And let me tell you, the rules about who is actually allowed to touch your car are about to drastically change. Here's the deal. If your vehicle is too damaged to be driven away from an accident scene, it is literally illegal for a regular standard tow truck to move it. Heavy penalties apply here. While a private breakdown lets you use any licensed operator you want, official accident recovery requires highly regulated tow trucks. These specific trucks have to display special tow number plates or HTT plates if they're moving heavy vehicles. And the drivers, the operators, the depot managers, they all have to pass really strict accreditation to prove they're legally and technically competent to handle the job. Furthermore, if you're driving just a standard car, so a light vehicle weighing under 4 tons, and you crash in what's known as the self-management area of Geelong, you don't even get to pick the towing company. Yeah, you actually have to go through the Geelong Accident Allocation Center. It's a dedicated dispatch hub that completely takes over, assigns an accredited tow truck to your scene, and issues an official allocation number directly to that driver. Now, you might be wondering, hold on, if the government is basically forcing me to use this assigned accident tow, aren't they just going to price gouge me? Well, actually, no, because the Victorian government strictly regulates exactly what you can be charged. This official documentation from the Victoria Government Gazette details the 2025 Accident Towing Services Act charges, and it guarantees that these towing operators in controlled areas have to stick to fixed, transparent rates. So the crucial point is this very specific number, $272.80. This is the legally mandated GST-inclusive base fee for an accident tow in a controlled area starting July 2025. But it's super important to understand what exactly you're getting for that money. This base fee specifically covers the first 8 kilometers of travel by the tow truck, plus all the relevant standard costs for that towing business to safely clear your wrecked car from the scene.
However, it doesn't always magically stop at $272.80. There are standard additional fees that can honestly rack up incredibly fast. If your tow needs to travel beyond those initial 8 kilometers, well, that's an extra $4.30 for every single additional kilometer. And say your accident happens after 5 p.m., before 8 a.m., or on a weekend or public holiday, you're getting hit with a $93.10 after-hours surcharge. Plus, if your car has to sit in a locked holding yard, like imagine it's stuck in North Geelong over a long weekend waiting for an insurance assessor, you're going to pay $30.90 a day for an undercover spot or $20.90 a day just to sit in an outdoor locked yard. It adds up.
Section 2. Your legal rights. Surviving the aftermath. Because let's face it, getting your smashed-up car off the street is really only half the battle, right? The legal experts over at Maurice Blackburn have laid out an exact 4-step checklist that literally must happen before you even think about leaving the scene of a crash. First up, you have to stop immediately, but obviously only where it's actually safe to do so. Second, you need to support anyone who might be injured and call emergency services if you need medical help or traffic control. Third, and this is huge, you absolutely must exchange your name, address, contact details, rego, and insurance info with the other driver and any witnesses. And finally, step 4, you must report the accident to the police. Now, if you've actually been injured, this is where the silver lining of driving in Victoria really comes into play. Enter the TAC, or Transport Accident Commission. Every single time Victorians pay to register their vehicles, a little chunk of that money goes to fund the TAC. In return, the TAC essentially acts as this massive safety net, using those pooled funds to pay out benefits and compensation for people who end up injured in road accidents. And this brilliantly illustrates just how incredibly extensive that safety net actually is. Through the TAC, you might be able to claim for lost wages if you physically can't go to work. They can cover your medical and hospital expenses along with the cost of any rehab, but it goes way further than that. We're talking travel costs to get you to your appointments and even attendant care and home help. Like, if your injury is severe enough, you might even be eligible for big lump sum payments. The whole system is basically designed to cover everything from the surgeon's massive bill all the way down to paying someone to mow your lawn while you're laid up recovering. But of course, accessing these benefits isn't always just a walk in the park. Sometimes your initial claims for medical or income expenses get rejected, or maybe your payments suddenly just stop out of nowhere. And this is exactly why having an expert road injury lawyer in your corner is so vital. They know how to navigate this super complex tax game, and usually they'll do it on a no-win, no-fee basis to make sure you get your maximum entitlements. Plus, if the crash was someone else's fault, a lawyer can help you bring a common law claim for pain, suffering, and future lost wages, which really ensures you're getting the absolute best outcome possible. So what does this all mean? We've just walked through the utterly chaotic scenario of a Geelong event day breakdown. We've decoded the massive difference between private towing and strictly mandated accident towing, looked at the exact government fees, and covered the critical tax benefits you're legally entitled to. But I want to leave you with this provocative thought. You now know exactly how to get your car safely off the road. But if the unexpected happens tomorrow, are you fully prepared to protect your legal and financial rights, or are you just leaving it all to chance? Seriously, take a moment today to double-check your insurance and get your emergency contacts sorted. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and stay safe out there.